When I posted recently the video about me taking a summer sabbatical, I talked about this concept of expansive leadership. And my definition, and I'm sure other people use expansive leadership, but for me it's a really very particular approach to leadership development, but also to how we exist as leaders. And when I say as leaders, I don't mean because you lead a team or because you're a CEO, because I fundamentally believe if you take the stance that people who are cultivated as leaders, namely everybody, it doesn't mean that you have to actually lead, but you're cultivating a skill set that allows you to move within the workplace, to move within society with just a general different type of, I'm going to call it gravitas, I'm going to call it energy, to be able to deliver and to be more productive, but not at the expense of your values, but very much in alignment with said values. And the point about this expansive leadership part is that I think a lot of the times people are so caught up with, I am a leader in silo, this is what I do at work, but not this is what I do at work, but really this is how I live. And in the caption when I spoke about my summer sabbatical, I talked about being expansive in all things. Expansive parenting is something very important to me, which provides foundations, basis, openness for trial and error, for creating mistakes, for creating space for success, but also really critically creating spaces to allow moments, and I'm not going to say just moments actually because that's too much of a finite definition, to allow prolonged periods of creativity, of resetting, of restructuring, of pivoting. All the things that we're not really taught to do, all the things that we are encouraged to steer away from because we're always focused on productivity and output. And more with a lot of the women that I work with, is that the patriarchal society as is does not work for us, and our multifaceted views, our multifaceted capabilities, our multifaceted talents, plus focusing on qualitative lifestyle, not quantitative, that there needs to be a broader shift into expansive leadership to achieve gender equity, not just for women, also for men. And this is something that, in terms of components of the leadership development programs that Benefactor Consulting runs, this component of expansive leadership is definitely going to take a larger portion, for the fact that until we start to embed the concept of living a certain way, because we live a lot of our adult lives within the workplace. And once again, if you bring it back to parenting, our children spend a lot of time in school. This expansiveness has to be cultivated until it's embedded. And as we're adults, this expansiveness has to be reprogrammed so that we can start to approach how we work better. Because achieving, once again, to come back to it, achieving gender equity or achieving any type of equity is a collaborative effort that requires both parties, both allies and those who are minoritized and marginalized, to be able to learn together, but to go on a parallel yet different journey to get to this point. And I think this is where expansive leadership becomes even more important, for the fact that leaders, senior members of staff drive culture, and without them changing and starting to drive that intrinsically via culture and via governance, we just have a very different outcome. But if you want to know more about expansive leadership and you know how you can be part of this, you know how to find me. But yeah, it's time for that change, because it's not just enough being mouthpieces for advocating change, but we have to actually get our hands, our feet. Oh my gosh, I was meant to say hands and feet, and then minds, and I got to feet. Please, We can pretend it was feet, F-E-A-T-S. Our hands, our feet, our minds, engaged in this kind of shift, which is a bigger one than just the identity you have within the 8 to 6, 9 to 5, however long you work space.